Climate change is an urgent and existential threat, and all countries have to build on the Paris Agreement to address this global challenge to humanity.
Welcome to Cities of Tomorrow, powered by ENGIE, where we explore what it takes for cities to achieve net zero carbon emissions amid Asia's rapid urbanisation. This is your host, Matt Rickard. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the Cities of Tomorrow podcast. And today I am joined by Karen Ng, the head of digital solutioning. And we're here to talk green buildings. Before we jump into the questions, Karen, welcome to the podcast. And maybe you'd just like to give a little bit about yourself and what you do at ENGIE.
Thanks for having me at this podcast. I'm Karen from ENGIE and I head the digital solutioning team in ENGIE. What I do mainly is to work with a team of people to come up with digital solutions for the kind of offers that we provide for our client in order to generate values, which comes in the form of energy reduction, enhancement of operations, and also enhancing customer experience.
Awesome. Well, look, first question, we'll jump in at the deep end. You know, not everyone who's on here listening will know what green buildings are, what smart buildings are. So could you maybe explain, you know, what smart building stands for and how is it important in a city's transformation to net zero?
I guess, you know, when we talk about smart building, the first thing that comes across people's mind is anything that is automated. For example, in Singapore, when you go to a shopping mall, you will always see things like, it is not uncommon to see things like a robotic vacuum cleaner. It's not uncommon to see, you know, dashboard that shows live your energy consumption. So these are some elements of smart building. The definition of smart building is very broad, but I think essentially it's about automation to improve, to enhance the buildings, in order to enhance buildings experience for people, whether it's for the building owners, the building occupants, or, you know, just people who are visiting a shopping mall. If you talk about smart building for net zero, I think the key thing when it comes to smart building is about having sensors, tools, or rather, you know, to put it generically, tools that allows people to understand your energy consumption. There's a lot of talks about things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, but before we go so deep, I think we need to take a step back and understand where is our consumption today? Where are all the energy usage going to? Because there are many buildings out there who do not have proper metering systems in place to tell you, you know, where are the energy consumptions going to. And without a tool for you to measure your consumption, it's difficult to talk about controlling. And then the next step, one step even further, is to talk about, you know, using artificial intelligence.
Cool. I mean, you mentioned, you know, building owners there, you know, they face challenges with making a building green, operating these buildings. What are some of those challenges that, you know, come with for building owners with facilities operation and maintenance? You know, what are the pain points for these building owners?
I guess for building owners who are trying to go green, the first thing when they consider is the cost. You know, they always think that, you know, it is not cheap to make a building green. Yes, the capex cost, the upfront capital that you have to pay may be huge, but if you look at the entire life cycle cost of your building, it might make economic sense to look into making a building green and not forgetting that it may bring some other benefits. For example, better customer experience, enhance a better branding for your building. So yes, the biggest challenge today we see could be capex, the high investment cost required for making a building green. The other thing is also when a building is built, is designed and built, the next thing we talk about is operation and maintenance. Having very experienced people who are well skilled to maintain the building, who has strong knowledge about energy efficiency and, you know, equipment operation and maintenance, it's not easy in the facility management industry. And also with the high manpower costs in developed countries like Singapore, it is a challenge for building owners to maintain the cost while ensuring that they hire skilled people. And also the other thing is, you know, with the strong, especially in today, where the volatility of utility costs is rather obvious, building owners will face this challenge of, optimizing their operation cost of maintaining a building. And which brings me to the next point about, knowing when to maintain your equipments, because at this point of time, most buildings are always at, if there's even a maintenance strategy, there are some countries where, maintenance is never in the picture. But if there is a maintenance strategy, how often do you maintain your equipment? Is it necessary to maintain on a time basis, for example, on a monthly basis or a daily basis? Or is there a better way to maintain your equipment through usage, how often you use, or through the condition of your equipment, or to even push the boundary to talk about predictive maintenance, where you predict when the equipment is due for maintenance, then you do the maintenance. So these are things that, I think building owners face the challenge when it comes to operating a green building.
I mean, you talked a bit about cost, and obviously, if you're operating a green building, your focus here is being green. It's hitting those net zero targets. But is it really more expensive? Is it always more expensive, or are there ways to kind of circumvent that and have a more cost-effective green building solution, I suppose?
Well, it depends on what. In terms of green building, there are many different strategies that are put in. There are different energy efficiency measures that can be put in place. The very obvious ones, which can generate which can generate the most ROI, would be replacement of a very, very old chiller, because in a building, 50% of your energy consumption of a building usually comes from the air conditioning system, and that's what most building owners would do. But the cost is relatively high, and there are many energy services companies out there that could offer to replace the equipment and also ensure the equipment are maintained at a certain efficiency level under a performance contract.
Can you share with us more about smart O&M? What is it about? How does it add value to ENGIE and to ENGIE's customers?
So Smart O&M, it's a tool that's developed in-house by our development team in Paris, ENGIE Digital, where the main objective of the software is to allow us to better monitor the operation and maintenance of our assets. Of course, now we have extended it to beyond just assets that ENGIE owns, for example, like solar plants, district cooling system. We have even extended it to the services that we provide, for example, like facility management, where our customer, for example, like the building owners, can have real-time information about how the building is being operated. For example, typically in the building setting itself, there'll be people who make requests or people who will be complaining about, the light bulb is blown, the aircon is not working. And so what happened the role of a facility managers, what they usually do is they have to record all this down and then dispatch technicians to resolve the problem. But a lot of times, in many places, all this recording are done in pen and paper form. And what happened is that at the end of the month, the FM team will need to submit a report to the customer. Customer has no transparency on how the building is operated. But what we are doing is to digitize all this, including the workflow, for fault reporting, the workflow for preventive maintenance work of equipment, all into a common platform where customer can see real time whether we are meeting the KPI that has been set out for the FM company, as well as whether there are any outstanding faults that have not been resolved. So this allows our customer to see how we are operating their building, and also how do we, and that gives them assurance of our services as well. But of course, on top of operation of providing FM services, the platform itself can integrate with different data sources, for example, building management systems, IoT devices, all this to provide insights about how the building is operating. For example, it will give you information about indoor air temperature, the performance of each of the equipment, for you to maintain the equipment only when there's a need to, because alarms will be set and triggered to technicians where there are some anomalies that that have been identified automatically by the system. At the end of the day, our client generate energy saving, the equipments are well maintained, and of course, we could enhance their customers' experience.
Cool, really clear, makes a lot of sense in terms of, the use of technology in these smart buildings and being able to accelerate progression in the right direction. So yeah. Cool, that's helpful. And I know, look, for anyone listening, we will have links in the blog that's attached to this in terms of the stuff you're talking about and how ENGIE can support that. Getting away from just the buildings and looking at the wider, I suppose, geography. We're in Southeast Asia. It's an interesting place to be in the world at the moment. Rapid urbanization, which is why topics such as making smart buildings, making buildings green is really important. What's your view on the rapid urbanization of the region, particularly the Philippines, Malaysia, and what is the future of smart solutions to ensure we can keep on track with this rapid urbanization?
So yes, I think from our perspective, we do see that there's a lot of development going on in the Philippines and Malaysia, especially when we have got a lot of ongoing projects in these regions. When it comes to smart building, I think before we talk about all kinds of fancy solutions out there, at the end of the day, we have to go down to bare basics. People need to be well trained about how to operate equipments. Basic digital solutions need to be put in place. For example, digital meters, energy meters to help you monitor your consumption. Having a control system that allows you to automatically control the equipment, for example, a chiller, a central cooling system would be very useful as well, because in a control system, you can put a control logic that can best optimize how the whole system operates. In the past, some of these solutions are rather expensive, but with the advance of development in IoT solutions, many of this just for example, things like monitoring energy monitoring devices are becoming cheaper and cheaper with wireless, more and more wireless devices out there and more solution providers out there. So I would say, in the past, it used to be something that probably only developed countries or, a very premium building can invest in tools like digital tools to monitor the consumption. But with the advancement in technology, I think more and more buildings, there'll be stronger adoption because of the reduction in the price point for IoT solutions. And there are also solution providers that offer zero capex model. So different kind of financing mechanism is also available for the implementation of digital solutions.
Cool. Do you, when you look at these solutions, do you see them playing a role in, kind of balancing this economic growth of the region, of individual cities against, the sustainability plan? Because economics are always important. And this is, I think, one of the challenges of this whole sector. But do you see these solutions kind of lending themselves to that kind of balance of economic growth against sustainable expansion?
So yes. So it depends on what kind of tools do you invest. So basic things like, just monitoring the energy consumption. These are actually tools that help you to grow your business sustainability, because by monitoring what your consumption is, you can then look at where are areas of improvement that you can reduce your energy consumption. And once you do that for one building, for a building owner who owns multiple buildings, they more or less know from the learning from one building what are the different things that I can put. They can then scale it up quite quickly. So one of those things that we actually do in ENGIE, especially when it comes to digital solution, is that we want things that are highly scalable, and we actually have a team where we do proof of concept of solutions out there, where we quickly test it on one side to validate the solution. And if it works, what we do next is that we will look at rolling out this solution in all the other sites. So the thing about digital solutions is that some of them are highly scalable. So tools that are highly scalable are obviously worth investing to help you achieve a sustainable targets at the end of the day.
Cool, that's helpful. Look, this is a closing question, I suppose, and probably the most important, I think, when I look at, we can talk about building owners, we can talk about ENGIE and all these grand plans, but really a lot of it comes down to, occupants, people like myself and yourself. What are the things people can do to support this whole process of ensuring a building can be green, and also, we can hit these net zero targets. What are the things and the advice you give to the occupants, the everyday people that are operating within these buildings? Because I think that is a really important part to this.
The only thing I can offer is things that sounds like nagging. What I usually do to my daughter. Turn off the lights when you leave the room, turn off the aircon when you don't need it. These are really boring but essential things that you have to do in order to save energy. Yes, you can invest in, digital tools that allows you this to be automated, but sometimes it's just an occupant's habit. So as cliche as it sounds, small information, like small habits like this actually go a very long way at the end of the day. Of course, it is also possible that users or building occupants, sometimes they are not aware of how their actions can help to reduce the energy consumption. For example, there was a study that talked about plug load. So basically, a lot of people just like to put their laptop connected to the power plug and then just leave it there for a while. But actually, all this actually consumes energy at the end of the day. So if there's better education through, for example, workshops, maybe more people will understand what are actions that can be taken for them to be more to help to contribute to sustainability or energy efficiency within a building. So what I would think would be relevant is that building owners would conduct things like workshops, of course, together with partners to make it more fun through a gamification process, which sometimes ENGIE does that for our customer as well. So just so that all the stakeholders are aware of what kind of they're aware of climate change and what are ways that people can do in order to contribute towards this issue.
Cool. I don't think it's nagging at all. I think we all need a bit of nagging. So yeah, always good. So yeah, unplug your laptop and turn the lights off and make sure, you can do as much as you can. I didn't have any more questions, but was there anything else you wanted to share that I hadn't touched on that you feel is important in terms of the role you do at ENGIE and green building operation?
I guess, well, from myself, I focus a lot on digital solutions. However, digital solutions obviously is not the only thing when it comes to energy efficiency, it is not the main tool that you would that can help you reduce your consumption. People always ask about, are digital solutions, what are the digital solutions out there that can help me reduce my consumption? Yes, there are things that could automatically control set points so that you can reduce the consumption when there's nobody in the building, or that can increase the aircon temperature when it's cold outside, when it's raining outside. But some of these solutions could probably improve your energy efficiency by maybe 10-20%. We've done such kind of project so far, and this is what we observe. But when it comes to really generating reducing our consumption if much more significantly, it really boils down to better operation, maintenance of equipment, or even looking at replacing your equipment with things that are more efficient. But nevertheless, when it comes to digital, it is still important as a tool for you to monitor your consumption, because without monitoring, you will not know where to start, how to control, what to control. Yeah, that's all I have to share.
Cool. Well, that's good. And that makes a lot of sense. Look, for anyone who's watching the video version, there's a QR code that'll pop up now where you can scan and find out more about the work that Karen does and ENGIE do. And if you're listening, then please check in the speaker notes for more details on the same thing. So look, Karen, it's been great. I appreciate you joining today's podcast and look forward to hopefully chatting again in the future.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.